If you missed our lesson today, no big deal. It's all right here. I can't wait to show you our artist of the day.
Today we're going to look at the works of British artist Bridget Rilley. She works mostly as an opt artist, creating different kinds of optical illusions with mainly black and white, but also adds color to some of her artwork. She wants you to have a sense of movement in her work, creating these different patterns and lines that aren't really moving but have this sense of an ocean or skydiving. Sometimes people even get seasick when looking at her work. It's a really awesome way to play on color and lines, thick and thin, to create optical art. So here's what we'll be doing today. I'm going to show you how to make this optical illusion. We want to make it look like there are spheres on top of a checkered board. Maybe the spheres are droplets of water or magnifying glasses. It doesn't matter. We're just going to create that optical illusion. The thing about having an optical illusion is that it's really precise. The lines are clean, the colors are neat, and we're going to use a ruler and some circular bowls or other things you have around your house to create the circles so they're really round. So I just have this bowl, and I'm going to use my pencils first because I want to make sure my lines look really good. So I'm tracing a large bowl, and then I had this cap to one of my candles that I thought was a good size to offset the large one. You want to make sure your circles are kind of big and fill up a lot of space because you want that checkerboard to go through the circles. And if they're too small, it's really hard to get your checkerboard just right. So now I'm going to take my ruler. I'm going to make inch squares, and I'm going to do that by measuring out my ruler on each side 1 inch. I want to make sure that I'm measuring all sides of my paper with the same side of the ruler. So I'm not going to flip my ruler over. I'm going to continue to just take that ruler straight over to the other side at the bottom of the paper and mark inch lines. Sometimes your ruler can be off from the 1 to the 12, so you want to make sure you're using the same side of the ruler each time. You'll see me do this on the bottom as well as I am marking inch marks off. I'm going to slide that ruler just right up instead of turning my ruler around to make sure that my hash marks are going to line up perfectly. Optical illusions take a lot of thought and a lot of skill with your ruler to make sure that you're getting a nice clean line. So now I'm going to connect the lines in a checkerboard pattern. When I get to the circle, I'm going to skip over my circle. I'm going to show you how to put the checkerboard inside the circle in just a minute, but we're going to do it a little different so that we get that bowing effect or that roundness of a sphere instead of a flat circle. So I'm going to do it both down and across. So I'm going to do it quick. All right. So you see that I left my circles blank so that I can start thinking about where the center of my sphere is going to be. We want it to look like almost a ripple of water. You know how the lines bow around where you throw a stone into the water. So I'm going to pick 2 lines and I'm going to make opposite curved lines. So you see I have a curved line following the curve of my outside to the right, and I'm going to do all of the curves on the right of that one, curve the same, and then I'm going to curve the left side the opposite way. This is giving it the illusion of a sphere shape. I'm going to do the same thing with my lines going across. And I'm just going to pick which 2 I want to make that kind of stone drop into to bow away from. So I'm doing opposite curved lines that follow the outside of the curve of my sphere. So I'm going to fill in all the lines that would connect. Now my top line is so close to the top of my sphere that I'm going to leave that out and consider that bottom line the one that connects the two together. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with the smaller sphere, making sure I choose a middle and then bowing the curves away from the center. So that one to the right and this one to the left. I don't have any other lines to go through, so this circle is probably the smallest you want to go. I'm going to bow again, making a nice C shape, choosing a middle, and I'm going to work from that across as well. I only have 2 to go there. All right. I'm going to fill in this tiny one because there is enough room to fill that bottom one in. So now I'm going to take my markers or my Sharpies and I'm going to fill in those space. I have to be really careful when I come to my sphere to make sure that they're overlapping right. So I'm going to fill in this first box and that's going to be my anchor to do my pattern. Checkerboards are every other. So I'll show you, I decided to mark all of my green marks first before starting to color in the rest. Because I want to be careful with the sphere. It gets really tricky on those edge pieces. Some will be the same and some won't. So you see I dotted in all of my spaces where they're going to be green. You can see right here where the sphere hits, I'm going to really be careful how that checkerboard goes, because I know the second one is green and it overlaps on top of my sphere. You might want to label each one with a pencil before you go in with your marker. So you can see that some of my areas overlap or kind of bend as I'm going around the circle. I'm filling it in with 2 colors that look good together. I chose cool colors because I always like the way that like blues and purples go together, and I thought these were pretty colors. All right, last step. You can already see this sphere shape taking place in our checkerboard, kind of like there's a droplet of water or a round glass marble on it, right? So now I'm just going to add some shadows to it to really make it pop off the page. You can do this with pencil. If you have oil pastels, those blend really nicely. I'm just going to work a little bit with the pencil and see how that goes. You can blend out the pencil with your finger to create a really good shadow, but I want to make sure that my light source is coming from the same side, so the shadow of both of my spheres are either on the right or the left. So you can see here where that shadow is taking place, but I'm going to put it in with markers so you guys can see it really well. You can feel free to do this as well. I'm going to make the right side and the bottom of each sphere a little bit thicker so it looks like it has a really dark shadow, and I decided that I was going to outline my entire sphere. So you can see me kind of just being really gentle, doing small strokes of marker so that I don't make a mistake here and accidentally make a right angle where it totally turns into something different. So I'm being really careful. I'm taking a lot of time. This didn't take me 15 minutes to make like the video is. It took me a couple hours to make, solely working on this. You can see that my marker lines are really neat, mostly going all the same way. They're filled in. There's not a single dot of white. So the thing about Bridget Rilley's work that makes it so amazing is that it is so precise, that her lines are so clean, that her colors are so dark. So you can see here that I've made a shadow, making it thicker on the right side and the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and do that same thing to the bottom sphere and then outline the entire spheres with a really thin light. You can see I'm still making sure my light source is coming from the same area. So if I had a lamp or a light source on this optical illusion, you would know that the shadow is more on the opposite side of the light. All right, I'm just finishing up my final lines around here. I took my time here, making sure that I made really thin lines and that I made it thicker over on the right side, just so that the optical illusion really pops off the page. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this piece of art. I always think optical illusions are so fun, and there are so many different ways to do it. There's lots of different things you can look online to try. I hope you guys take your time, send me pictures, try lots of different kinds of color combinations.
Hope you liked the lesson. See you next week.